Love him or hate him, the unstoppable force that is Jiren cannot be ignored in Dragon Ball Super. As a character, he came in like lightning and went out like thunder. So what are the things that make Jiren who he is? Today I'm going to tell you 5 things about Jiren that are really cool and that are going to help you improve yourself. So let's check out the psychology of Jiren. What's happening, self-helpers, and welcome to Self-Help Yourself, the #1 self-help channel dedicated to becoming the best version of yourself. And here we use the power of psychology to help you become the best version of yourself. So if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe and hit bell notifications. And if you want to support the channel, make sure you hit the like button if you enjoy this video and leave a comment about what you like about Jiren. You saw this one coming, guys. The first point is, of course, Jiren's absolute strength and power. There is no denying that this is by far the most amazing part about Jiren. I mean, the guy literally makes an example of everyone whom he fights. Right from the first time we see him to where his power eventually ends up, there's no denying that Jiren's power is unstoppable. Far beyond anything that the Z Warriors have ever seen. Or are they the Super Warriors? It's Dragon Ball Super now, right? One on one, no one can really match Jiren's strength, speed, or fighting ability. Pretending like Ultra Instinct never happened, what you need to do to be as strong as Jiren is work on yourself every single day. It may be training at a sport, going to the gym, working on your business, or anything else. You need to be working the grind every single day and at a level that overshadows everyone else. And that'll lead you to dominate and not just be left as a part of the competition. So keep crushing it every day and stay dedicated. Number 2, he's motivated by a past worth fighting for. We know exactly why Jiren is so strong and why he can fight anyone. It's because he has a strong reason to propel himself forward in his training. I mean, he wasn't really able to stop his family or friends from being killed. Personally, I think this guy trained at like 1,000 times Earth's normal gravity. So if he was ever going to get through his training, he would have had to remind himself a number of times about why he's actually doing this. What's his motivation? And this is exactly what you have to ask yourself. What's that #1 reason why you do what you do? And your answer will be your motivation. You're doing something that you love and care about. And then you have one of those days when things go absolutely wrong. It just turns a good day into a bad day. It's at that point your motivation comes in to save the day and help you through and never give up. Number 3, confidence. Jiren radiates confidence. Everything about the guy screams alpha male, right from his almighty abilities to his almighty presence on the whole. The way Jiren stands tall, his low tone of voice, and of course, his glare. Just this much is enough to send his opponents packing. If you ever wanted to learn how to become more self-confident, I would recommend that you go back and watch all those episodes with Jiren in them and observe his demeanor. Start paying attention to your body language and how you behave around other people. It's going to reflect your self-confidence and how energetic you feel around other people. So remind yourself next time to stand up straight and look people in the eye when you're talking to them. Don't be intimidated or be afraid by anything that stands in your way. And if that doesn't work, just glare at them. Don't do that. You'll just end up looking creepy. Number 4, burden. When Jiren lost everything that he cared about, he was at the brink of his mental well-being. Things couldn't get any worse for him. Carrying that emotional weight on his shoulders for such a long time must have been really hard. It became so much for him to bear that he couldn't go on any longer, and then he reached his breaking point. We each have our own cross to bear, our own regrets, and even things that we desire to change from our past. Negative aspects of our past need not define who we are. We can be different and we can be better. While we need to carry some burdens, they need not necessarily define who we eventually become. So guide that negative energy towards doing something more positive and see what you can do to benefit yourself and others in the process. Remember that your past is merely your guide and that your emotional well-being is important. And finally, point number 5, camaraderie. This is the most vital thing that separates Jiren from Goku. It's the fact that fighting for someone other than yourself actually makes you stronger, not weaker. Hanging around people who are not as resourceful, not as strong, and not as well off doesn't really make you weaker at all. Unfortunately, Jiren had to learn this the hard way. Lifting such people up can actually be a sign of strength. This is exactly what fuels Goku. If you're someone who does something only for himself or herself and doesn't really care about what others gain in the process, the end results are going to be very limiting. Think about it. What I mean by this is you need to really understand that there is a bigger reason why you do something, and that is for a cause that is bigger than yourself. This is one of the most supreme forms of motivation. And if you haven't found this yet, then start thinking about getting into community work or doing something that allows you to give back to your community. Jiren unfortunately had grown cold and emotionless over the years. That moment when Topo made Jiren realize that all his efforts weren't for nothing and that he was really brave when he stood up for his team and fought, it really put things in perspective for Jiren. So find your team, get that support system together, build connections by networking, and of course, create lasting bonds that are going to aid you over a lifetime. And once you do that, you'll see that it all comes together. You'll have your purpose, you'll find your strength and motivation in others, and also you'll find yourself getting better all the time. It's when you realize that your efforts actually meant something. That is what real fulfillment will feel like. Guys, I was totally thrilled with how Dragon Ball Super turned out, and I can't wait for when Jiren comes back in the next series. So guys, until then, if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, make sure you leave it a thumbs up and leave your comments below about what you thought about this video and what you want me to cover next. Check out my video on the psychology of Goku next if you want to improve yourself further. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. This is Vikram signing off, and I'll see you in the next session.